Thanks, Ron and Ann. Very, very interesting. Some interesting facts. We're going to talk about some really interesting facts here right now. Dr. Paul Merkley is my guest, and I'm just reading from the back of his book here just to make sure I got it all correct. But he is Emeritus Professor of History at Carleton University. He was born and educated in Toronto, taught history for over 40 years in Canada as well as in California. He was visiting Professor of American Studies at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. He's written a number of books. He's active with the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem. And he also was Foreign Policy Advisor for 6 years for Stockwell Day.
Yes.
Welcome, Paul. I can call you that, Dr. Paul? Dr. Paul?
Oh, please do.
Paul? Okay. Now, this book is entitled, Those That Bless You, I Will Bless, Christian Zionism in Historical Perspective. I want to say from the top that it was a very demanding read. It's not really a popular read in that sense. It's more of a, well, you're an historian, right? So it's like
never fun, no.
No, it's like a history.
No.
But I read it cover to cover. I was impressed with your scholarship and your grasp of the history of it, and also a lot of the culture. But just for the sake of a lot of our viewers who've never heard the term before, Christian Zionism, what is that?
Well, it's a belief that is embedded in Scripture. It's fully elaborated in Scripture, and it takes hold among people who read Scripture and come to the conclusion that Scripture requires them to bless Israel. Going back to Genesis 12, 1 and following is where I get the text. We are told that God blesses Israel, that through Israel the world will be blessed. The bottom line being, those that bless you, Israel, I will bless. Those that hate you, I will hate. And we are Christians who believe that supporting Israel, not merely passively, but actively, is our duty, especially at a time like this when Israel is becoming increasingly isolated. In the so-called Arab Spring, the entire neighborhood is turning either towards chaos, which I think is more likely, or they're turning to some new adventure of hostility towards Israel. They're going to rally again and under a new leader and attempt to throw the Jews back into the sea. In the recent elections that have been held in this area, it's all the Islamists that have won. The new president of Egypt declared as recently as 6 weeks ago, this is in the public domain but never mentioned by our media, that he is the one who is going to resume the work of the conqueror. And in the interim, it's his duty to remove the Christians from Egypt, either by conversion or by ejection. Now, this is said in the broad light of day. None of our media has even touched this. And this is merely one of the most recent and very dramatic and very scary bits of evidence that Israel is doomed unless we give her our full support as individuals, as Christians, as governments.
Now, when we talk about blessing Israel, what Israel are we called upon to bless? As you know from your time in Israel, you've got Orthodoxy, you've got ultra-Orthodoxy, you have conservative Jews, you've got Reconstructionist Jews. In the main, you have secular Jews. You have those who are very closely, if you will, affiliated with evangelicals in terms of their high view of Scripture, most of them not. So you have some Jewish leaders walking around with long black coats on and black hats and ringlets. You have others who wouldn't be caught dead wearing. So what Israel are we blessing here? Is it the political Israel, the political entity?
Christian Zionists are more aware than anybody else that Israel is not a uniformly lovely place. That there's much about it that is very embarrassing. And we regret very highly. And the Jews are not individually, every last one, altogether lovable.
Right.
The human factor is real.
Any more than Christians are, uniformly or universally lovable, right?
Yeah, I'll sign on to that. But Christian Zionists, therefore, do not have to get up every morning and recalculate the virtues of Israel. At the latest bit of news that Jewish soldiers have got out of hand and that the government figures in government have been stealing money. They don't go back and recalculate that. They get up every morning realizing that it is their duty to bless Israel as it is. So it's the right to exist of Israel.
Right, the right to exist. Right.
Okay.
Right. Now, you mentioned it was actually in just the last few pages of the book, you quote the Jewish theologian Avraham Heschel.
Yes.
And he talks about how history is intertwined with mystery. It's an accord of divine promise and human achievement. As I was reading your book, I got to that and I thought, boy, there's the best summary of your thesis that I could find.
Yeah.
That there is a mystery to Israel.
Right.
And that those who, if you will, are born of the Spirit resonate with that mystery.
That's right. And I think that even those who do not call themselves Christians or recognize themselves as Christians still have in their hearts a kind of residue of biblical faith over generations. And they appreciate that there's something unique about the case of Israel, something unique about the circumstances that brought her into the world by a 2/3 vote at the United Nations under extraordinary circumstances. Minutes later, the whole world turned against her. But for that moment, it opened. So yes, mystery. There's an element of mystery in this, and those who do not have an explicit Christian faith nonetheless have some sense that something's operating here that's not operating in the history of any other people.
Now, we've only got a few minutes left, and boy, time flies.
Sure does.
Is a Christian Zionist anti-Palestinian?
No, absolutely and categorically not. We are constantly being belabored by this. The organization to which I belong has a very active ministry to Palestinian people. In Gaza, even. Yeah. We are there helping people who are not otherwise being helped with those massive problems that Gaza has. Her main problems are not her encirclement and her being surrounded with, but the society itself is being driven down and down and down, so that family life is now at the bottom. Health issues are down at the bottom, and Christian Zionists are in the forefront of that. Not only our organization, but Bridges for Peace and all the others.
Yeah, now the Bridges for Peace and also International Christian Embassy, a lot of their staff were members of my congregation when I pastored in Jerusalem.
Yes.
And I got to know them all very, very well, and I was impressed with exactly what you say, their care for everyone, whether they're Palestinian, Orthodox, secular, and this is a story that's not told. However, there are those, like the World Council of Churches, who have declared that the International Christian Embassy is racist. Now, what do you say to that?
There's some things so absurd you can't argue with them, you know. Yeah. And that's utterly absurd. What more can I do than rehearse what I just did with you now? Yeah. That in a heart of love, we are constantly active with the Arab population, not only the Christian Arab population, but the Muslim population. The editor of one of the most virulent anti-Christian, Christian Zionist books will not correspond with me because he says, I will not deal with racists. So if you come from that perspective, I asked him to show me where in my book I say anything that could be
construed as racism.
Construed as racism. Yeah. He then cut off the dialogue and won't talk to me.
He probably hasn't read your book.
No, he hasn't. I sent him a copy, though.
One final question. If you're a Christian, do you have to be a Zionist?
I think if you think it through vigorously, you do. Because if you think it through vigorously, then you know that your faith is built from day to day by reading Scripture, and you want to be consonant with the main themes of Scripture, including the passages about love and how to behave and the rest of it, and embodied right in the midst of all that is this obligation that I describe here to bless Israel.
Bless Israel, yeah. I think it's a huge challenge these days because Israel, as you say, is right at the very bullseye of huge conflict, and there's something emerging right now. None of us can really anticipate what the outcome will be. But when the Scripture says, those who bless Israel, I will bless, I happen to believe it. I think you do too.
I do.
Without being doctrinaire about it, I think it just makes biblical sense. The book is called Those That Bless You, I Will Bless, Christian Zionism in Historical Perspective. For those of you who have interest in this, it's available on our e-store. You can log on to crossroads.ca, or you can call us at 1-800-265-3100. And like I say, this is the work of an historian. It has that kind of objective detachment that an historian must have, but at the same time, you see very clearly as you read it a very strong case built for understanding who Israel is, how Israel's come into being, and what the relationship is between Israel and men and women of faith around the world. It will truly benefit your thinking and become a real resource for you in time to come. Reasonably priced. Log on or give us a call. Dr. Paul Merkley is the author. He's been our guest. Thanks for coming our way, Paul.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back with more right after this, friends.